Hello and welcome to the Behind the Beat podcast with me, Katie Russell from Planet Drum Music School in London. Join us as we talk to special guests and industry professionals about all things music. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Behind the Beat podcast with me, Katie Russell from the Planet Drum Music School in London. Today we are joined by a Planet Drum student, Nadia, and Alan as well, and we're just going to have a little chat about all things music. So Nadia, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe how and why you first got into drumming to start with?
Sure. Well, first of all, hello and thank you for asking me. It's very exciting. So about me, at the moment, I am doing a master's degree in global migration and learning drums. Right. How long have we got?
Yeah.
I always wanted to do it, and I don't know, there is something about the instrument itself. It's quite invasive. It's very loud. It's the backbone of any song is the heartbeat. You go to a gig, and the first thing that you listen for is the drummer sort of starting everybody up, and when it does start, you sort of feel this kind of, I don't know, it's almost
energy
like bang, going up to your stomach. So yes, it's always been fascinating in that sense. And so a few years ago I decided to give it a go. I never sat at a drum kit, so it was certainly a challenge for me, but I would say it was more of a challenge for my drum teacher. I think it sort of went like on a wing and a prayer and see what happened. And from then on, it's been a real journey in terms of I think you have to be quite humble when you first sit at the drum kit, because it's not exactly that you sit there and you sort of start playing, and it's a real journey and it's a real process. There is there is the practice, but there is also a physical and I would say emotional side of it, in terms of you have to kind of go down the rocky road to start with, and then your ego gets squashed so many times, and you feel that you're making a fool out of yourself most of the times, I would say. But there is also something quite unique about it, because you feel yourself that you can keep the beat for 30 seconds, and then it becomes a minute, and then it becomes a full song, and there's a great satisfaction behind that, and of course there is a lot of practice, and I think it's the it's not the end itself, but as I said, it's a real process, right? So you enjoy it, and although nothing is fun until you're good at it, but I found that the whole thing, and throughout these years, it's been a sort of like, I don't know, my go-to kind of place, and particularly during the pandemic, it's been an absolute blessing. It's been the thing that has kept me sane. Less so my neighbours. So I wouldn't say that they've appreciated, my way of sort of venting my frustrations, for sure. But it's definitely kept me sane. So yes, that's the journey so far. So
I absolutely love that. What was that feeling like? You said when you first sat at the drum kit, were you quite overwhelmed? Were you excited? Do you remember anything at all about that, or not really? You just wanted to go and play?
Well, the thing that I think I remember the most was feeling an absolute idiot. But by the end of the first session, I want to give this a go. It's, as I said, it's not the idea of being necessarily amazing at it. Also because, let's face it, yes, age is not a problem, but it is very different when you start at 7 rather than starting at my age, right? So you become more self-conscious. You are probably less daring, I would say. But nonetheless, it's super fun. It's ultimately it's what I would say. It's fun. If you like a challenge, definitely you've got plenty of scope there. And it's also a way of learning other skills, I would say. It definitely improves your concentration. You multitask. You're moving your hands and your feet at the same time, or
definitely
listening to it. So
it's quite physical.
Yes.
Very physical.
I'll say, yes, it's my way of justifying that extra portion because...
I played the drums today. I can have that.
Exactly. I'll definitely have dessert.
Yeah.
So yes, but it's interesting that you say that because I've come across this project from the University of Chichester.
Yes.
So two professors who are fan of Clem Burke, Blondie's drummer, and they got him on board for this study, which has been going on for at least, well, I'll say almost 20 years, give it a taken. And they really study the stamina that you need to be a drummer, which is akin to that of an athlete. So that gives you an idea of the physicality involved in it. So and also more recently, I've come across another article on autistic children. That gives you an idea of again how you sort of control or sort of keep. The control that you need when you play drums, and also the concentration needed. So it's all in all a wonderful experience, I would say. Of course, it would be better, if I were good at it. But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't aspire to be John Bonham. Let's face it. So yes, it is.
That was one thing I was going to ask. Did you sort of start up with the intention of sort of playing with the band, playing live, or is it more just for yourself, something as like a hobby?
I think it's a hobby for me. I think that at a certain point, I would like to consider, joining a band. I think you have to find somebody who's probably as bad as you are. But having said that, if you take it for what it is, the fun and the idea of playing together with other people, I'm sure that I will do it for it. One thing that I was thinking about, before joining this interview, it's a little bit like learning a language, playing drums, right? So you learn the rudiments. You're very shy to start with. You make a lot of mistakes, and it gets better and better until one day, and I'm still waiting for it, by the way. One day you wake up and you play wonderfully. The same way that you realize that you're playing another, or you speak in another language, and you make yourself understood. And I think it's exactly the same principle. There is a lot of patience involved in it. There is a lot of your ego getting crushed, as I said earlier on. So something has got to give in that sense.
Yeah, I find that what you said earlier really interesting, how if you start at 7, it's different to if you start when you're older. Because it's quite interesting that actually when you're a kid, they just all want to play, they just want to hit anything, and it doesn't matter if it sounds awful. Whereas as an adult, we've somehow developed this, oh no, I'm playing the wrong thing, I'm playing the wrong note. We've just developed almost like a bit of fear of getting it wrong. Which is almost a bit of a shame, because actually you kind of just want to go for it and just see what happens, even if it is wrong. But yeah, I find that really interesting. So is there, what's sort of your musical inspirations? Anyone that you sort of look up to or like, or any, gigs that you've sort of gone to recently? Who do you like? Who do you listen to?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, I mean, I mentioned Clem Burke from Blondie, so that's definitely one of my favorite bands. I like anything that is sort of a little bit speedy. I like Metallica. I will listen to Megadeth. I will listen to pretty much all stuff I like a little bit of T-Rex. I like Led Zeppelin and the likes of Pink Floyd, Dire Straits. So a little bit like on the old side. I guess it also reflects my age, right? But yeah, that's the sort of things that I like to listen to and also play along to. So yeah, that will be my cup of tea.
And can you tell us a little bit about your master's project that you're working on at the moment?
Yes. So, well, it actually started with you guys because, yes. So, yeah. Yes, I remember the first time that I walked in for my first lessons. I had a lot of accents going around, and I thought, this is interesting. There are a lot of people from other parts of Europe. And so last year in December, I had to write an essay, and I interviewed Moraine and Keith about them being Europeans and also what they take was on the term migrant. And there were so many things that came out of it, and also the fact that they musicians and how that influenced the decision to move somewhere, although for different aims and under different rationales. And so I thought this data, or certainly these insights, cannot go lost. They can't just be relegated to an essay. And so I put myself in a bit of a pickle, decided to do an entire dissertation on that. So the main threads are migration and the gig economy, and musicians being, the original giggers, and the original sort of forerunners of the gig economy. And so that's how the project and the idea was born. There is quite a lot, if you're a musician, and I interviewed Alain a few weeks ago. It was a very interesting conversation in that sense. And you decide to move abroad. You bring in your art and your craft with you, but there is so much as well that goes on, and how. Well, music, I would say, would travel and would migrate from one point to another, and that has always been the case throughout the years. And how different genres sort of play, and the influence that you get from different parts of the world. So that's sort of things that interest me, and then yes, to I guess. Not to be political, but certainly, with Brexit and the pandemic, they're also part of my research and how they've influenced the work of musicians. Particularly the pandemic, I think it's been quite tough because,
definitely.
And you probably know better than I do. If you're a musician, you probably work for yourself. So how does that pan out in terms of the economy, and how do you sort of survive a pandemic, but also with Brexit and sort of the brake that has been put on freedom of movement, particularly for those of us who come from other parts of Europe. What does it mean? Certainly not now, but moving forward, what will it mean for the creative industry, for for music, and for people who want to come here? It was very easy for us. We booked a ticket, and here we are, right? But it's definitely going to be quite different in the future. So yes, there are all these little aspects that I decided to delve deep into, and fingers crossed, something will come out of it.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, if it's whenever you end up finishing, because it sounds like a really interesting topic that I know some of our like teachers and students would love to read about. I don't know if it ends up anywhere, but if it does, let us know and we can share it, because I think it'll be a really interesting project to read
Absolutely.
about. I do have one more question, if that's okay.
Sure.
Do you have any tips or advice for anyone who's thinking about starting drum lessons or thinking about they might want to start?
Just do it. You know, I don't think that there is anything else that you need to. I don't think there is anything else that you need to do. You know, get yourself a pair of drumsticks and just go for it.
Be daring, do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you know, the thing that I found is that probably because I really wanted to do it, I really wanted to, you know, to have a hobby, a passion, and it has become a proper, you know, my go-to sort of place, as I said before. You know, it's where I retreat to when things go wrong or when things are really really good. You know, you sit and, you know, you bash for 5 minutes. And I think that's the spirit that you need to have if you decide that you want to play drums. I don't think that there is any particular advice, but just, you know, be patient and have a very open mind, and be willing as well to, you know, it is trial and retribution, drumming, I found. Because, you know, you try different things, they don't work out, you know, they don't sound good, and then you try again until you get it right, and that's the only way to do it, I think. You know,
So how long have you played? How long have you played?
Well, I started in 2019, and then of course we had a pandemic, so it was a bit of a on and off. But yeah.
That's 3 years.
Yeah, you can say, yeah, 3 years. 3 years. You get semi-decent in my case, or maybe, but I'm sure the Moraine will probably have a different take on it. But, you know, and also I think that the other thing is to find a teacher who really gets you, I think is the other point, and really gets how you learn, or you know, he finds different ways of explaining things to me, and I think it sort of creates also some trust, right? Because at the end of the day, yes, you have to trust yourself, but you also have to trust your teacher and say, okay, so this is, you know, it's not all bad, right? There is a little bit of fun as well involved, for me, for sure. But yeah, and somebody who's really patient. And again, you know, looking back at the experience with you guys in particular, it's always been the case. Even, you know, when Moraine wasn't there, I had other teacher who were equally competent. I think is the first thing that comes to mind. Very professional, very well prepared. Very sort of adaptable as well, right? Because you might have a student who's been with you for many years, and then all of a sudden you got somebody new, and then how do you sort of pick up the pace and pieces? So yes, I found that was very.
That's good.
Very
You know,
good.
we've got a band workshop tomorrow night.
Oh, do you now?
Yeah.
You're trying to say something to me.
You know, because we've been talking about communication, right?
Right.
So that's about two people in a room talking to each other, right? Or playing together. So yeah, that's good. I'll just let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not very subtly.
He's trying to get you down.
I might do it, actually. I think it's time.
Maybe one day. Well, there's something that you did say earlier, which I quite liked, was that you said the drums was the go-to when something's gone wrong or something's gone really well, which I find really interesting. It's like something you go to when you're not feeling great or you feel great, you know, which I think that was really nice that you sort of can use that output for both sort of emotions.
Yes, totally.
Perfect.
Totally.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I had a really, really good time. And if there's any like links to anything eventually to your dissertation, I'll make sure to put it so people can find it. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on with us today.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Nadia.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.